start? Rohit Prabhu is not there?
He's joining soon, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, we can start. He may be late little bit. Told me.
Okay. Okay, so we can start now.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji.
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ध्यानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
खायला मिळणार काय ते इकडे अच्युत म्हणून चेक करा रूम मध्ये काहीतरी आहे ते घ्यावं सांगते.
हरे कृष्णा. So we began 7th chapter yesterday.
आज मत करू, आज वातावरण बदलले.
Can somebody mute? Otherwise, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So we began the 7th chapter yesterday. The knowledge of absolute. And the first section we completed from verse 1 to 3, which talks about just hearing, and hearing as the chief method for self-realization, getting the knowledge of Supreme Lord. We discussed that. So how hearing reveals knowledge about Krishna, and also about Jnana and Vijnana, greatness and sweetness of Krishna, and how this devotional service is so rare. How it is so rare. That was a very important shloka. So we will go to the next section now. Today, the second section is talking about verse. This is from 4th to 7th verse. It is talking about knowing Krishna's material and spiritual energies. 4 to 12, not 7. 4 to 12. Verses from 4 to 12 are talking about Krishna's material and spiritual energy. So we see that actually it is talking that how Krishna is the source of all the potency. So very famous verses again are going to come up, which we know many verses of them. Umira, Povanalo, Vayu and all, often quoted by Prabhupada. These verses are. And then also it talks that how Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere, and the jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness extends everywhere. And it's not that Krishna consciousness means only Krishna and nothing else. That jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness is everywhere. Means Kanishta way of seeing is only Krishna and nothing else. But the advanced devotee, he sees that everything is related to Krishna. Nothing is separate from Krishna. So that is Krishna consciousness is being active in every sphere. So Mayavadi concept is Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. But that is not our Bhakti concept. Bhakti concept is everything is Krishna's energy. And that's the one who knows Krishna consciousness is supremely blessed. Because he can see everything in relation to Krishna, and in this way he becomes Krishna conscious at every moment. On the other hand, those who don't know Krishna, they are in illusion. So knowledge of Krishna is liberation and ignorance of him is bondage. Whoever knows Krishna is liberated. In this world, actually, most of the people don't have any concept of liberation also. But then they're happy to be in bondage. But it is like, that's why this material world is considered to be a very amazing jail, very amazing prison house. Why amazing prison house? Because there are no walls and nobody wants to get out of this prison house. Generally, in an ordinary prison house, people are eagerly waiting, when can I get out of it? But in this prison house, Maya Devi has made in such a way that nobody wants to just get out of it. So that's how, it's a very amazing creation of the Lord. So those who are ignorant of the Lord, they become bound. So in the first section, Krishna told that knowledge about him has to be understood by hearing. Now here, in the next 9 verses, Krishna is going to speak about that how he is the source of both material and spiritual energy. And because within our experience, there is a combination of these two energies, this information will enable Arjun to see Krishna everywhere. So Krishna is trying to tell Arjun, don't see this battlefield different from me also. In battlefield also you can see me. Because in this world everything is combination of material and spiritual energy. Right? Like our table is there. What is that? That is material energy. And then a dog is there. What is that? It's a combination of material and spiritual energy. And spirit soul, liberated spirit soul, that's purely spiritual energy, right? So in this way, everything is combination of material and spiritual energy, but both these energies belong to the Supreme Lord. So that's how Krishna wants Arjun to understand. Don't just say this is material, this is spiritual. Both are having their own origin in Krishna, and real thing is Krishna consciousness. So even from material things, we should learn to be Krishna conscious. So that Krishna will explain in future also. I think 10th. 10th chapter, mostly opulences of absolute. There. Okay. So these 3 verses now, 4th, 5th, and 6th, and 7th, 4 verses. It is explaining about the supreme position of Krishna and the knowledge of absolute truth. So this knowledge, this science, it is analyzing the constitutional position of God. So till now, till 6th chapter, more or less, there are a lot of knowledge about spirit, soul, and the person. Now this section is going to explain about the position of the Lord and his different energies. So, what are his energies? The living entities and material nature. So these are especially in material world, these two energies are highly functional. So 4th verse is talking about Prakriti, 5th verse is talking about Jiva, and 6th and 7th verse is talking about Supreme Lord, Ishvara. So please read the 4th verse now.
Bhumirapo nalo vayu
Bhumirapo nalo vayu
Khammano buddhireva cha
Kammano buddhireva cha
Ahankara iti yamme
Ahankara iti yamne
Bhinna prakrutirashtradha.
Bhinna prakritirasthada.
Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Purport. The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and his diverse energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord in his different Purusha incarnations, expansions, as described in the Satvata, Satvant, Tantra, Vishnostu Trini Rupani, Purushakhyani, Ato Vidhu, Ekam tu Mahatata Sastra, Dvitiyam Tva Ananda Samsthitam Tritiyam Sarvabhutastham Tani Natva Vimuchyate. For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansions assume three Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy known as the Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Shirodakshai Vishnu, is diffused as the all pervading supersoul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these three Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. This material world is a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these three Vishnu expansions of the Lord Krishna. So these Purushas are called incarnations. Generally, uh, Generally, one who does not know the science of God, Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities, and that the living entities are the Purushas, the causes, controllers, and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad Gita, the atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. The ingredients of the material manifestations are separated energies of the Lord. Even the Brahmajyoti, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalist, is a spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. There are no spiritual diversities in the Brahmajyoti as there are in the Vaikuntha Lokas. And the impersonalist conception accept this Brahmajyoti as the ultimate eternal goal. The Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary, all pervasive aspect of the Shirodakshai Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world. Therefore, the factual absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is the complete energetic person and he possesses different separated and internal energies. In the material energy, the principal manifestations are eight. As above mentioned, out of these, the first five manifestations, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the five gigantic creations or the gross creations within which the five sense objects are included. They are the manifestations of physical, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprise these 10 items and nothing more. But the other three items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by materialists. Philosophers who deal with mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego, I am, and it is mine, which constitute the basic principles of material existence, includes 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligent refers to the total material creation called the Mahat Tattva refers to the total material, Therefore, from the eight separated energies of the Lord are manifest the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankhya atheistic philosophy. They are originally offshoots from Krishna's energies and are separated from him. But atheistic Sankhya philosophers with a poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna as the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of the external energy of Krishna as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. So Pratik Pro is asking, repeat the three definitions of Jnana and Vigyan. First one is Jnana means greatness of the Lord. Vijnana means sweetness of Lord. Second is Jnana means theoretical knowledge and Vijnana means realized knowledge. Third is Jnana means material knowledge. Vijnana means spiritual knowledge. These are the three definitions. Okay, so this fourth verse is talking about the very famous verse. Prabhupada often quoted this, the verse for memorizing. It's talking about Krishna's material energy. So Krishna has so many energies. Parasya Shakti Vividhayo Shluyate Swabhaviki Jnana Badakriya Cha. So many different energies Krishna has. Multitudes of energies. Sometimes we ask devotees, how many energies Krishna has? Devotees say 3. No. It is not that Krishna has only 3 energies. So Krishna has got many energies. Multitudes of energies. Parasya Shakti Vividhayo Shruyate. But all these energies are divided into these 3 categories: material, spiritual, and marginal. So they are divided like that. But then there are so many: Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Leela Shakti. So many Shaktis are there. So this particular verse is talking about Apara Shakti, Maya Shakti, or material nature. It's talking about that. So now Krishna is explaining, we see in this world, of course it is little Sankhya now again, wherein everything in this creation is coming out from Krishna. Everything in this creation is certainly made up of these 5 elements, 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. So we see entire material world is summed up by Krishna by giving its basic elements. That's what Sankhya is. So whether it may be gross or subtle, everything in this world is made up of these 8 elements only. That's it. Material world means these elements. Different proportions, different degrees, these elements are present. Like for us who are terrestrial living beings, on earth, the earth element is very prominent within us, right? Then, and there are some water, some fire, some air, isn't it? Little is there. Other things are there, but earth is very prominent. For those who are staying in water, for them the water element is more prominent. And then that other planets, there are living entities who have air element more prominent or ether element prominent, and we know that Brahma is made up of entirely of intelligence. There is no earth, water, fire within Brahma. He is made entirely of intelligence. So in this way, entire material world can be dissected. Dissection, you understand? Dissection. In biology they do. It can be dissected, or basically, what do you call it, as derivatives in mathematics. So, so in this whole material world, we can make derivatives in the form of these 8 elements. So this description ranges from gross to subtle. And from these 8 elements, what come is 24 elements. There will be talking about that in 13th chapter. So 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So then there is a sense object. So what is the sense object attached to earth? Tanmatra.
Sparsha.
Earth is not sparsha.
Test.
Taste? No. Of course, earth has all, one sense, but what is added we can say. Maybe we can begin from top. First one is Gandha, correct, fragrance. So, okay, anyways, we'll go other way, because otherwise, it will become a little confusing. So, ether element, which sense object is attached?
Sound.
Sound, correct. Ether means basically space and sound. So, in fact, in modern times, people don't accept ether also. They accept up to air, water, air, fire, earth. That much only they accept. They don't accept even ether. they say sound something, but they cannot understand ether element much. They don't accept that. I think in Newton's certain theories, ethereal conceptions were there, but modern scientists have ruled them out, thinking that it's just a speculation. There is nothing called as ether existing. So ether but is characterized by sound and space. Okay, sound. So sound is the sense object. Then when it comes to air, what is the sense object?
इसमें स्पर्श होगा.
Sparsha, yeah, correct. Touch. So of course, air, sound is also there and touch is also there. We can hear the air also sometimes. Air is flowing, wind is flowing, we can hear the sound also of the wind flowing. And we can experience the air by touching also, isn't it? Air can be, so that touch is added. Then fire.
Rupa.
Rupa, correct. Form. So unless until light is there, then there is no use of form. So fire, that's why fire element, there is form. Of course, so form is added, it has got sound, it has got touch, it has got form, all three. So as we go, all the elements get added one by one. But specific sense object of fire is form. Then water.
Rasa.
Rasa, correct. Taste. The sense object for water is taste. So at the same time, water has got form, water has got touch, water has got sound, everything. But specific sense object is taste. And then of earth is gandha, fragrance. So in this way there are 10 elements, okay? 5 gross elements and 5 sense objects. Total 10 हो गए. Then mind, intelligence, ego. These are 13. Correct? 13 हो गए. Then there are 5 knowledge acquiring senses. What are 5 knowledge acquiring senses?
प्रभु जी जीवा त्वचा eyes.
Hands, legs are not knowledge acquiring senses.
They are karmendriyas.
Karmendriyas, yeah. This is, I think, simplest question, right? Eyes,
nose, ear,
tongue, and touch. These are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, Gyanendriyas. Then there are 5 working senses. What are 5 working senses?
mouth,
Hands, legs.
Okay, vocal cord, basically, rather than saying mouth, yeah. Voice. Okay, 1. Then
Hands,
hand,
legs.
legs,
Then
anus and genitalia. These are the 5 working senses. So कितने हो गए total?
18.
18 कैसे?
Oh, sorry.
13 plus 10, 23.
23. Yes, 23. Yes, 23. So 5 Gyanendriya, 5 Karmendriya, 5 senses, 5 sense objects. So, senses nahi. 5 elements, 5 sense objects. 20 plus mind, intelligence, false ego. 23. And what is 24th?
Soul,
Mahat Tattva, basically Mahat Tattva. This is the 24th. What is Mahat Tattva?
soul,
Or Pradhan, okay. Pradhan also you may say. ठीक है. Either. What's that?
प्रभु जी प्रधान एंड काल शक्ति का जो मिलन होता है वो
है क्या? प्रधान क्या है?
निष्क्रिय प्रकृति. Unmanifested material energy.
Unmanifested material energy. Okay. Some little better definition. है क्या उसमें? Unmanifested material energy क्या है क्या? इसके अंदर क्या है?
Jivas,
It has all these items.
Jivas sleeping.
Jivas are not there.
Okay.
Mahatattva, ठीक है, maybe Jivas have entered.
Ingredients for
Ahankar?
all the material manifestation.
Yes.
Correct. It's an aggregate of all these things. ये जो 23 है ना, ये सारे चीजों का aggregate is महत्त्व, and that is the 24th element. In this way, there is a counting of 24 elements in Sankhya Yoga, and this महत्त्व causes false ego. False ego से फिर बाकी सब चीजें आते हैं. False ego से intelligence आता है, intelligence से mind आता है. From mind, ether is formed. From ether, air is formed. From air, fire is formed. From the fire, water is formed, and from water comes earth. That's how from subtlest element to gross element the creation happens. So if you want to read more details, you can refer to third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila Dev section. So all these material elements are called apara or inferior. Why they are called inferior?
Soul is not there.
Because by
Soul is
nature
not
then
there.
It is dead. Unless,
क्या? I think.
it is dead unless there is no soul or super soul enters.
Ah.
It is dead.
Correct. These are all not having any consciousness. These are dead material elements. So that's why there is no consciousness. That's why they are called as inferior. So that's why they can be exploited by superior. So, but wonderful thing is that Krishna has empowered this material energy to move separately and independent of his direct control. That's why it is called as Bhinna Prakriti. Apare, this Tumi Rapo Analo Vayu Khammano Buddhi Revacha Ahankara Iti Yamme Prakriti Bhinna Ashtadha. Bhinna means separated. So this material world, that's why how it works, Parasya Shaktir Vidhaiva Shuyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. This material world works as if it is independent of the Lord. That's why most of the people cannot understand the Lord behind this material world. Because they think सब कुछ nature की हो रहा है. Nature है, God किधर है? But no, Sutra है Manigana. God is the Sutra. But still, God is not visible. And He has given like an automated machine. ऐसा नहीं कि हर एक चीज मटेरियल एनर्जी को पूछना पड़ता है भगवान से, ये करो क्या, अभी सीजन चेंज कर सकते हैं क्या, अभी टाइम हो गया, अभी सन को राइट कर सकते हैं क्या, और सन को सेट कर सकते हैं क्या, अभी ये नक्षत्र राइट कर सकते हैं क्या. नॉट लाइक दैट. शी इज वर्किंग ऑलमोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंट, बट इच्छान रूपम अपि यस्य स चेष्टते सा. शी इज स्टिल फंक्शनिंग एग्जैक्टली अकॉर्डिंग टू डिजायर ऑफ द लॉर्ड, बट लॉर्ड डजंट हैव टू डू माइक्रो ऑन हर. लॉर्ड इज एक्सपर्ट मैनेजर. He has empowered material energy and she functions on her own, but exactly works according to desire of the Lord. Nothing, not a blade of grass moves, without desire of the Lord, but still, Lord doesn't have to personally interfere. So that's a wonderful thing, right? Those of you who are leadership position, can you do like this? This is the success, that the person who is under you, you give him full independence also, but at the same time, he will work exactly the way you want. But still you don't have to interfere. So that requires solid connection, right? Isn't it? Even though you may not interfere, but still that person works exactly. He knows what you want and works exactly like that. Sometimes in companies and all they happen like that, So or some houses, anywhere, or in our society also. Because some disciples are so close to spiritual master that they know what spiritual master wants and they work. Spiritual master gives one instruction. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur also. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur did not tell Prabhupada that you go to New York, उधर से सैन फ्रांसिस्को जाओ, उधर से मॉन्ट्रियल जाओ, ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोला. Just said one line, just you preach in Western world and if you ever get money, print book. बस दो ही instructions. That's it. और एक बार Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was departing, that time Prabhupada sent one letter. How can I serve you? And if we say instruction Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur gave him back. Nothing more than that. Prabhupada manifested entire responsibility to work according to all the desires of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. So this is called as, the Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is not, personally have to guide, but at the same time, Prabhupada is there. He is working exactly according to desire of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. And at the same time, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is doesn't have to interfere too much. He has given full freedom to Prabhupada. So that's how material energy also works. He is very, she is a Shakti of the Lord. So she is not different than Lord because Shakti Shaktiman Abhedaha. There is no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman. And that's why she works almost independent of the Lord, but she works exactly according to the desire of the Lord. So this Prakriti is described in this verse. So we see we will meet many Shaktas. Shaktas, what is the Shaktas? They accept Shakti. Like material nature is all in all. They say material nature is supreme. So we have to quote this verse to them. What is this verse? This verse is, Bhumi Rapo Anano Vai. So these are all Krishna's elements. These are all Krishna's elements. So, and this is wonderfully we can, this is also one of the wonderful ways we can understand Krishna. So Prabhupada calls in purport that this material energy is the separated energy of the Lord, Vinna. So it is inferior energy. So we discussed that because it has got no consciousness. And these are 8, 5 gross, 3 subtle. So we should be able to memorize them. Prithvi, Apa, Jala, Teja, Vayu. Yeah, earth, water, fire, at least English. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. So we should, and subtlety are mind, intelligence, false ego. So, and in this way, total 24 elements come, 5 gross, 3 subtle, 5 sense object, 10 senses, and then unmanifested modes. So, Prabhupada is quoting from Saswata Tantra, where it is the energy of the Lord in his different Purusha incarnations. So Lord Krishna is not directly manifesting also this material energy. He is being managed by his Purusha incarnation. So 3 Vishnus are there. And the Saswata Tantra says anybody who knows 3 Vishnus is liberated from material enlightenment. So 3 Vishnus are Mahavishnu or Karanodakshaya Vishnu. What Karanodakshaya Vishnu does? He creates Mahatattva and he begins material manifestation. And from his every pore of his body, while exhaling, material universes come out, and while inhaling, the material universes are absorbed within him. And he is the super soul of entire material creation. Then from Mahavishnu, so when the elements, the different universes have come, so it is who glances, it is Mahavishnu who glances on material energy. And he impregnates her through Lord Shiva. And in this way, material creation happens. Then every universe is formed. So within universe, Mahavishnu expands as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then he creates various diversities within Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then from the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu comes Lord Brahma. So in this way, this is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's function. And then from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands himself as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who enters into each and every atom and as super soul, and in the heart of each and every living entity also as a super soul. And all the incarnations comes through Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So in this way, these are the 3 Purusha incarnations. Why does Prabhupada explain? One maybe is perplexed. अरे इधर material energy का description चल रहा है, and Prabhupada is explaining about 3 Vishnus. The purpose is that although Krishna is telling these are my energies, material energies, but Krishna has nothing to do with material energy actually speaking. So when we say that Brahma is creator, Vishnu is maintainer, and Shiva is destroyer. So it is which Vishnu? These 3 Vishnus are the ones who are maintainers, especially Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So Krishna, he has nothing to do with material energy. So anything of material energy to be done, that is done by Vishnu. Vishnu manifestation. Krishna doesn't directly participate in material energy at all. And that's why Krishna comes only once in a day of Brahma also, personally. Otherwise, even the maintenance of this material world is taken care by Vishnu only. And then, apart from that, even Vishnu does not touch material energy directly. So when Vishnu deals with handles material energy, that will become Shiva. So in this way, Krishna is far, far aloof from material energy. So what is the preaching application of this? So Prabhupada says, preaching application of this is we should recognize that these elements belong to Krishna. So Krishna is the factual element of this, enjoyer of these elements. He is the factual enjoyer of material nature. And because this material nature is the energy of Lord in his different Purusha incarnations, it is meant for the enjoyment of the supreme energetic. So material energy is not meant for living entities' enjoyment, but material energy is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So one devotee asked Prabhupada, what is the purpose of this creation? Prabhupada said, enjoyment. And he was very happy. He said, not yours, Krishna's. Prabhupada replied, it's not meant for your enjoyment, it's meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So that's why, due to illusion only, living entities trying to enjoy this material world. Actually, this material world is meant for Supreme Lord's enjoyment because they are His. अभी जो जिसका प्रॉपर्टी है वो ही खुद एंजॉय कर सकता है ना. हाउ कैन एनी अदर पर्सन कम एंड एंजॉय? दैट इज इलीगल, राइट? Just like, if I take some devotee's mobile and I change the password or I change the settings or I say, okay, I will only use it, keep it with him. That devotee will become wild on me. He'll say, hey, why you are taking my mobile? It's my mobile. It's meant for my purpose, not for your purpose. So same way, these 8 elements, Krishna is saying, I am the proprietor. They belong to me. May means mine, Krishna is saying. They are mine. So whatever comes from these 8 elements is Krishna's, right? So they are not meant for, that's why, living entities' enjoyment. They are meant originally for Krishna's enjoyment. So, but due to ignorance of this science, one assumes this material world to be for his own enjoyment. That's the unfortunate situation of conditioned souls. They are artificially and illegally trying to enjoy this material world. So, then Prabhupada goes on to explain the different understandings of material energy. So, material science, what they talk only about 5 gross elements and 5 sense objects. That's all. And what do you learn in our colleges? These 10 things only. 5 gross elements, 5 sense objects. That's it. What do you do in chemical experiments? See the color, taste it, or fragrance, or the this and that, isn't it? So, whole college education, it deals with only 5 plus 5. That's it. 5 gross elements and 5 sense objects. Nothing more. They don't even talk about subtle. Because very gross level, ना बुद्धि बहुत ग्रॉस है इनका, जड़ बुद्धि है. जड़ बुद्धि के कारण सिर्फ जड़ वस्तु ही दिखते, दूसरा कुछ दिखता नहीं है. But then there are philosophers. So scientists deal with these 10 things only. Philosophers, they deal with mental activity. So they add these 3 subtle elements. They deal with mental activities also. Mind intelligence, up to some false ego. They may deal with. But still they are not perfect in knowledge. Despite that, because they do not know the ultimate source is Krishna. So they think that these material elements are all in all. And they don't know something beyond that. Who is the one who produced it? Who is the proprietor of it? Who is the creator of this? That they don't ask. So that's why these philosophers are also imperfect. Then there is atheistic Sankhya philosopher. So what they want to do? They want to discuss 8 energies expanded into 24 elements of material world. But again, it's all discussion about the manifestation of external energy of Lord, without considering connection with Krishna. So they are also atheistic. So they also count these 24 elements and they think everything is just 24 elements. And there is nothing beyond that. This is the atheistic philosophy of science also. So again, they don't understand that Krishna is the cause of all these material elements. And what is the basic principle of this material existence? What is the root of such material existence? That root is false ego. False ego के कारण सब होता है. And what is false ego?
I am enjoying.
I am enjoyer. Okay, that's we can say a further symptom. What do you
Misidentification.
false ego is misidentification with this material world. I am this body, or I am the product of material nature, and the product of this body are mine. That is called as misidentification. So that is false ego. And then false ego से बाकी सब आते हैं, ten sense organs and all material activities and all सब कुछ आता है. Whereas intelligence refers to total material creation, that is all master total. In this way, these whole material existence, especially modern education system, they are working only on little part of material energy. And other philosophers, they also deal mostly with material energy only. But there are very rare souls, Manushanam Sarveshu Kaschidati Siddhaye. Who are these Siddhaye people? Siddhaye people try to go beyond material energy and try to discuss about spiritual energy. So that's what they try. So these type of people are very rare. Okay, so please read the next verse, 5th verse.
Guruji, one small question.
Uh-huh.
Guruji, generally, like we see, means those who are like Mayavadis, we say, so they say Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. But ironically, they end up doing a lot of well-wishing. What we call
Social welfare.
welfare of others. There's a word now. So they end up doing that, though they say Jagat Mithya generally, and sometimes like in bhakti process, not our movement. Our movement is engaged in preaching, but they say Jagat Brahma Satya and Jagat is also Satya. There is a misidentification. But at the same time, we generally people of bhakti don't interact too much in terms of preaching or something. So how to balance both? I wanted to understand like how it happens firstly, why, and how it can be balanced.
So we don't accept Jagat as mithya. They think that this Jagat doesn't exist. This Jagat is temporary. So it is sometimes said as unreal. In Bhagavatam also this world is called as unreal. But that unreal is not that it doesn't exist at all. It is existing, but it is temporarily manifested. That's why its existence is very insignificant or very, it's very temporary. But still the world exists. Then what is illusion? Illusory is our identification with this world is illusion. Just like when you see this most fitting explaining example is watching movie. When a person is watching movie, he's also experiencing the feelings of a movie characters. Correct? When there is something sad scene going on in the movie, you'll see some Matajis are crying, isn't it? And there is sometimes some stunt scene is going on, and people practically go at the edge of their seat. Some horror scene is going on, they become horrified also. Right? So, I remember the first English movie I saw was Jurassic Park. Of course, we are not here to discuss movies, but the concept, so this Jurassic Park, dinosaur that time had come. It was a very great way with the whole world about dinosaur. Till now, before that, nobody was talking about dinosaurs. So when we saw, my God, it was such a horror. That it used to look like, we were like children that time. Maybe 5th, 6th standard. So that it would look like as if a dinosaur is going to come and devour us. But then, so it was a horror feeling. So then, now, so we see that we are real. The movie is also real, right? Because movie is really being played. It's not that we are just imagining a movie to be played. Movie is actually being played. So then, but then is it that dinosaur is eating me? No, that dinosaur is doing nothing to me. In fact, it cannot come out of the screen also, right? But then, still I feel afraid. Why? Because I identify myself with that movie. So that's something wrong. Similarly, material world exists, living entity exists. What is wrong? What is illusion? Illusion is identification of material world, living entity with material world. That is illusory. That's why this material world is not illusion, it is illusory. Illusory means it makes us identify wrongly. The way we wrongly identify with the movie, although there is nothing. We had to do nothing with that movie till we wrongly identify. So this is the right understanding. So Prabhupada used to say that, Krishna is real. How, unreal things will come from Lord. The material world is also coming from the Lord. So it cannot be unreal. But it is temporary. The manifestation is not permanently done. Then, so that's how, as is ironically, this, Mayavadi philosopher, they say mithya, mithya, and then they keep on engaging in materialistic activities, material welfare activities. So that's what Prabhupada was criticizing. Okay, if this Jagat is mithya, then why are you engaging in material welfare activities for person? Isn't it? So they have no answer for this actually. Why they are engaged in their material welfare activity? If this Jagat is mithya, because they are simply, they themselves are in illusion also. So that's why they cannot explain this. But for a devotee, this Jagat is not mithya, this Jagat is the energy of the Lord. That's what, we discussed in this verse. So he sees this material world, he sees that he is not the product of this material world. But still this material world can be engaged into Lord's service because Lord is the owner, Lord is the creator of this material energy. So why not to engage him in his service? Isn't it? So that's the point. So, and in this way, devotee sees this material world not as mithya, as reality, but at the same time, he does not see this material world as the for his own enjoyment. He sees this material world is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, and in this way, he engages all the material elements into Krishna's service. So this is the best understanding. So that is the principle of Yukta Vairagya also. So it is not that devotee says, I have nothing to do with material world. Yes, devotee has nothing to do with material world for his personal gratification, for personal enjoyment. But devotee wants to still use everything of this material world for Krishna's enjoyment. That's what we see that Prabhupada and Bhakti-Siddhanta Thakur, they use everything for Lord's enjoyment. So, प्रापंचिकतया बुद्ध्या हरिसंबंधी वस्तुनः मुमुक्षुभिः परित्यागो फल्गु वैराग्य कथ्यते. Goswami says, seeing everything in the material world and thinking, and it can be used in the service of Krishna, but somebody does not use it, that is called as falgu vairagya. Whereas anasaktasya vishayan, the person is detached from sense enjoyment for himself, yathaham upayunjata, but he engages everything nirbandha Krishna sambandhe, in the relationship with Krishna, and that vairagya is called as yukta vairagya. So that's how this is the concept, proper concept our acharyas give us. So in a simplified form, devotee, he doesn't use this material world for his own enjoyment, but he uses this material world at the same time for Krishna's enjoyment, which is a factual thing, because bhumi rapo nalo vayu sammano buddhi ahankara idiyame bhinna prakriti rashtada. Krishna says these are my energy, so they should be engaged in Krishna's service. Simple. Is that all right, Rohit?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So fifth verse.
Okay. Apareyam itim. Sorry. Apareyam itasto anyam.
Apareyam itasvanyam
Prakritim vidhi me param.
prakritim viddhi param
Jiva bhutam mahabaho.
jiva bhutam mahabaho
Yayedam dharyate jagat.
yedam dharyate jagat.
Translation. Besides this, O mighty Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entity who are exploiting the resources of material inferior nature. Purport. It is clearly mentioned that living entity belongs to superior nature or energy of Supreme Lord. The inferior energy is a matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, earth, and subtle, mind, are product of inferior energy. The living entity who are exploiting these inferior energy of different purposes are the superior energy of Supreme Lord, and it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the super energy. The living entity, okay, sorry, moved by the super energy, the living entity. Energies are always controlled by energetic, and therefore the living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. They they are they are never equally powerful as unintelligence men thinks. The distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:87-30 as follows. Uh, Roji, can you help me?
अपरिमिता ध्रुवस्थानुभूतो अपरितमिता ध्रुवास्तनुभूतो यदि सर्वगता तर्हि न शास्यतेति नियम ध्रुव नेतराध नेतरथा अजनी च यन्मयं तद् अविमुच्य निवृत्त भवेत् समम् अनुजानन्तां यद् अमतं मतदुष्टया दुष्टतया.
O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entity were eternal, all pervading like you, then they would not be under your control. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energy of your lordship, then they are at the once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entity to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In that constituted position, one can only they can only can they be controller. Therefore, men with a limited knowledge who advocate the monistic theory that God and the living entities are equal in all respect are actually guided by the faulty and polluted opinion. The Supreme Lord Krishna is only controller and all living entities are controlled by him. These entities, these living entities are his superior energy because the quality of the existence is one and the same with the Supreme, but they are never equal to Lord in the quantity or power. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energy, matter, the superior energy, the living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusionary material energy, he attains the stage called mukti or liberation. The false ego under the influence of material illusion thinks, I am a matter, I am material, acquisitions are mine. His actual position is realized when he is liberated from the all material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respect with the God. Therefore, one may conclude that the Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi energies of Krishna. And when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna consciousness or liberated.
Yeah. So this verse is explaining Krishna's Parashakti. Apareyam itastanyam prakritim vidhi me param. Para. Apart from this apara energy, there is a para energy, para prakriti. What is that? Jiva bhutam, Jiva Shakti, living entity. Talking about the spiritual energy of the Lord, which is Jiva Shakti. So, why this is superior energy? Why Parashakti? Why superior?
Because he is part and parcel.
Oh, this material energy is also part and parcel of the Lord. That's it. Material energy is also coming from Lord only.
They have consciousness.
Okay, yeah, they have consciousness. That is one answer. It is conscious, so that's why it is superior. Any other answer?
Because They can exploit
Haribol?
the inferior energy. That's why they
Because
are
they
called
can
as superior.
correct. Because they can exploit inferior energy, right? So we see that the man, he can take the sand, he can take the, earth, he can take make light little fire, he can mix some water, light little fire and make the bricks, and from that he can make the firecracker, isn't it? Similarly, the man can get some grains, get some spices, get some water, use the fire, and in this way he can cook, isn't it? So the man can take some metals and create some particular items by use of fire and metal. In this way, the man can exploit material energy. He has got the power, that's why it is superior energy. Whereas material energy cannot exploit man, in terms of gross manifestation, of course. The whole personified material energy certainly, has a power over man, also conditioned person. But the gross manifestation of that cannot control. In general, there is like we cannot see that the what is a particular earth will come up and the earth will manipulate the living entity. That doesn't happen. Or water will manipulate. So, but yeah, as a totality, it can. So, but still, because superior energy, living entities can manipulate or exploit material energy. That's why they are called as superior. So, and what is the nature of these living entities? Prabhupada says that they are one and same with Supreme Lord in quality, but not in quantity. So the example is just like the sparks of fire have the same quality as fire, heat and light, but their quantity is different. Similarly, the drop of water has the same quality as ocean of water. Ocean drop has got the same quality, but the quantity is different. The rays of sun have got the same quality as sun, but the quantity is different, isn't it? The same way, living entity is one in quality with the Lord, but different in quantity. Whereas material energy is different in quality and different in quantity, both. But spiritual, these living entities are one in quality and but different in quantity. So that's why material nature is considered to be, which is manifested as 5 gross and 3 subtle elements, it is considered to be inferior. So many monistic philosophers say that Jiva and Shiva are the same. Not Shiva, of course they say Shiva is God, but Atma so Paramatma or Jiva and God are equal. But they cannot be equal, because otherwise how can Krishna say that they are my energy? Living entity, Krishna is saying that they are his energy. So if they are equal, Krishna cannot claim like that, right? So that's why living entity being the energy of the Lord is always the control of the Lord, because energy always implies energetic. No energy comes without energetic. Can you say that the light is coming? But there must be some source of light, right? Light doesn't come on its own, isn't it? Any energy will see that there is a source of it. Just imagine, Raisham Prabhu gives this example in device. Just imagine, as soon as, suppose, you are staying in a home and there is a window, suddenly you hear, the sound of window breaking, glass of window broke, and you see one stone has come inside. So then what will be the question? What will be it? Huh? Yeah, who has thrown this stone? Isn't it? Nobody will believe that the stone came by itself, isn't it? Who has thrown this stone? Correct? So that will be the question. So that's how behind energy there is always energetic. Energy cannot have independent existence. So Krishna is that energetic and living entities are that energy. So that's why Krishna being the energetic, he is always superior and living entities are also inferior. So material energy is inferior, living entities are superior to material energy, but Krishna is superior to both material energy as well as spiritual energy. He is superior to both. So that's how, and then that's how Jiva, living entity, he is very tiny, and because of that he is always under the control of energetic and has got no independent existence. Just like a small kid, he cannot have any independent existence. He is always the control of parents, isn't it? Same way, living entity is also under the control of Supreme Lord, and he cannot be independent. But living entity can be influenced by material energy. That's the difference between living entity and God. So God, being very huge, he can never be covered over by material energy because he is the source of material energy as well. So he can never be covered over by material energy. But living entities can be covered by material energy. That is the difference between God and living entities. So in this way, Bhagavatam also, verse Prabhupada is quoting that how the living entities are minute energies of Lord. So now, Yayedam Dharyate Jagat, he says. ये जगत को कौन धारण कर रहा है? ये जगत को धारण कर रहा है लिविंग एंटिटी. जब तक लिविंग एंटिटी नहीं है, ये जगत नहीं चल सकता है. So we have to see that actually there is always model. See, our body is also a model of universe. Universe is also model of entire material creation. So body itself is also one universe, if you consider. It has got its own Vishwa. Our own body itself also Vishwa. So but body cannot function without spirit soul being there. As soon as the spirit soul leaves, the body's function stops. Isn't it? Body cannot function at all without spirit soul being present. Isn't it? So similarly, no material arrangement can function without touch of spiritual energy. That is not possible. So people say that how this material nature is working, people say, oh, it's working automatically. No, sir. Have you ever seen any material thing functioning by itself? That only happens in fiction books. Story mein hota hai aise. But even you call that automated machines are there. But still there has to be one person who programs them. There has to be one superior energy, living entity who presses the button. Right? Without that, even automated machines don't work. Isn't it? So somebody has to create it, somebody has to design it, somebody has to start it. There is always person. We never see material energy functioning by itself. So this whole world is also like that. The whole world is functioning because living entities are there. What if the living entities don't remain? The material world cannot exist. So in this way, the whole cosmic manifestation works only because of living entities. And it proves that living entities are superior to matter and they are equal in quality with the Lord. So, but because the living entity tends to come under the influence of matter, and this is because of this, he may forget his spiritual position. So although living entities belonging to the spiritual nature, belonging to the Lord, but he comes under the sway of material energy and he thinks himself to be like product of material energy. That's what is called as illusion. यानी आप स्पिरिट सोल हो, वो जो स्पिरिट है उसके साथ आइडेंटिफाई करने के बजाय किससे आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं? मैटर के साथ आइडेंटिफाई कर जो आप नहीं हो. So that's called as illusion. Illusion means what you are not. आप मटेरियल प्रोडक्ट नहीं है, आप स्पिरिचुअल प्रोडक्ट हो, परंतु आप अगर स्पिरिचुअल एनर्जी के साथ आइडेंटिफाई करने के बजाय मटेरियल एनर्जी के साथ आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं, तो इसको कहते हैं इल्यूजन. So that's why real Prabhupada writes in the purport that real mukti, what is real mukti? Means surrender of living entity to God's control. Understanding that Lord is my master, Lord is my controller, and Krishna's part and parcel, and Krishna's energy. So when the living entity surrenders to the Lord, understanding this, that is the path of real happiness. So that's how in order to be free from the influence of this illusory material energy and to be free from false ego and all material conceptions, even this conception of I being same as God is also biggest false ego. So that is called as liberation. Liberation means three things: surrender of living entity to Lord's control. Second thing, to be free from influence of material energy. Third thing, to be free from false ego and all material concepts. So this is how this is called as liberation. It's three things. So because we couldn't cover now next verse today, but in this regard, we have to also understand in our practical life that, so one may say, ठीक है, I am not the enjoyer of, this 8 elements. Okay, all right, but I'll enjoy with other people. But even that is not proper, because even other people are meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So when Krishna plays Ras Leela with some others' wives, people say, why Krishna is playing Ras Leela with others' wives? No, sir, you are having a wrong concept. There is nobody other to Krishna. In fact, everybody belongs to Krishna only. Everybody is energy of Krishna. That's what this verse says. Apareya vitastanyam prakriti vidyame pran jiva bhuta mahabaho yedam dharati. Now all living entities are Krishna's energy. So Krishna enjoying with them is not wrong. So Krishna is not enjoying with others' wives. Krishna is enjoying with his own energy only. In fact, it is your theory that you are taking somebody as wife, somebody as mother, somebody as brother, somebody as child, somebody as teacher, somebody as this, that. So that is theory. You are taking Krishna's, you are taking others' property and trying to enjoy with them. So, but Krishna is not taking anybody else's property. In this way, we can justify the Ras Leela of the Lord fully. Why? Because Ras Leela means Krishna is enjoying with his own soul, his own part and parcel, his own people. In fact, Krishna should enjoy with everyone. Why not? Why only with gopis? In fact, gopis only get that privilege, but actually every one of us is meant to be enjoyed by Krishna only and nobody else. Isn't it? We are all part and parcel of Krishna and we are meant to be enjoyed by Krishna. So, in fact, when we take away Krishna's souls and try to enjoy with them separately from Krishna, that is the act of sin. That is the act of, impropriety, immorality. So, Ras Leela by Krishna is not immoral. Our Leelas in this world are immoral Leelas actually. In this world, we keep on playing so many Leelas with different living entities. These are immoral Leelas. But Lord's Leela, every living entity is perfectly moral, because everybody belongs to the Lord only. Nobody belongs to anybody else, So that is how Krishna's dealings in this world can be explained. So we have to know also, that's why whomever I consider to be mine, maybe my father, my mother, my wife, my children, my grandparents, my neighbors, my friends, my classmates, we say my. Actually, they are not mine. They are who? They are Krishna. Everybody belongs to Krishna. And I am also Krishna. So that's the real understanding. But because of this illusion, people think this is mine. This I and mine comes because of this illusion only. My people or my things. But in these two verses, Krishna beautifully explained. He has, broke the bubble of illusion which he had. That I and mine, that Krishna has broken. Krishna is telling, no, sir, nothing is yours. Everything is Krishna's only. Whether anything or any person, it belongs to Krishna. It is of Krishna. Not only that, we also are of Krishna. We also belong to Krishna. So, in this way, this is the real knowledge. This is the proper understanding. And due to such lack of understanding, people are trying to enjoy. People are trying to enjoy, and they are trying to exploit material, but they cannot. Because of illusion, they are thinking that I can enjoy. With people, I can enjoy the things. And because of that, in fact, in return, they are getting suffering. So that's how, you have to know this to be a real fact. And when you know this real fact, then you can very easily serve Krishna and see the world in the right perspective. Seeing everything and everyone to be Krishna's property. So then you can see everything in the right perspective. And you can become free from this false ego of I and mine. That is the perspective. Okay, so thank you very much. For today we'll conclude here. Although we should take only 2 verses, but these 2 verses are so very important. So both verses soak up the long purpose. Because these are very crucial verses, for understanding how everything belongs to Krishna. These 2 verses से भगवान ने बता दिया जो भी मैटर है सब मेरा है, जो भी स्पिरिट है वो भी मेरा है, आपका कुछ नहीं है, जाओ। भगवान ने भगा दिया हमको, अरे जाओ तुम्हारा कुछ नहीं इधर, भाग जाओ इधर से, तुम भी मेरे हो, आ जाओ। So don't claim anything to be yours, Krishna is telling me. So these are very important verses, especially to burst the bubble of our false ego. These 2 verses are very important. So we spent a little more time. Okay, so we'll end here. Next week we'll go to 6 p.m. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण कुछ दंडवत प्रणाम। हरे कृष्ण।